Bill Burr, who plays Mayfield on The Mandalorian, speaks up about Gina Carano's firing. I guess we can now assume who Lucasfilm's next victim's going to be. What is said doesn't go without merit, and is, at least in this Vikings' opinion, confirmation that Gina Carano was not only right, but also unjustly fired by Lucasfilm and Disney. Burr appeared in his weekly podcast and spoke about the cancel culture frenzy that has taken hold of Twitter and has claimed victim after victim, most of the time unfairly. In the podcast, Burr was trying to respond to that show's guest Joe DeRosa, who was talking about how people would look back on this the same way they now do with ex-President George Bush, who was hated during his term and now gets to be sort of loved by the crowd who watches him appear on talk shows and other similar presentations. Now, Burr seems clearly annoyed by all this that's going on, not only on Twitter and certainly not only with Disney and at Lucasfilm, but at large in all of the entertainment spectrum. He responds by saying, quote, "I don't know what the fuck it is. I'm on that effing show. Now I gotta watch what the F I say," end quote. If all that swearing doesn't get you fired, Bill, then you better do watch what you say if you really want to continue working on that show. Because Big Brother is Disney, Disney is watching, you know. And they know what you are saying about them. And how they treated Gina, of course. Expect to be invited for re-education in a 40-member Zoom meeting very soon, my friend. But the part that I liked the most was where he actually defended Gina by stating how she behaved on set and with her castmates. Quote, "She was an absolute sweetheart. Super nice effing person, and you know, whatever, and somehow someone will take this video and they'll make me say something else and try to get rid of my bold action figure," end quote. He doesn't have an action figure that I know of, but that is a possibility. And he's right, of course. Disney and Lucasfilm will look into what their employees do, say, and post. Let me tell you something. Isn't it easier for them to just write down a mother effing code of conduct and have everyone from cast to crew to their based employees and everyone who gets to work for them, even for the smallest amount of time, to sign the friggin' thing and ask of them to not share their personal politics on social media, or else? It seems like way too much work going after people on social media, if you ask me. Saying what they do wrong to just get them fired doesn't sit well. I mean, what's the purpose? Hiring them is not then, you know, very important if you're going to be looking after them for the time they make a mistake. You know, they're human beings in the end. And it becomes even more ridiculous when you see how people who seem to rob Lucasfilm, or better yet, Kathleen Kennedy, their own way, get not only fired but also bullied by the company with no support for them whatsoever. How long then until they get rid of, for instance, Jon Favreau? Now, it's not that I want him out, of course, but he's not very political on social media and everyone knows that. He doesn't care about people's politics either. So, considering how much pressure was placed on Gina Carano to state her pronouns in bio, for example, how long until the mob comes after him for not being committed enough to their so-called cause? It's getting ridiculous, and like Carano said, and that Burr appears to confirm, not only with his words but also with how uncomfortable he looked during it all, people are afraid of losing their jobs. This thing should be looked into and heads should be rolling. But not in the sense of getting them fired, more like canning them in the joint, you know. Because if it isn't, this sort of thing should be made illegal. Burr has just confirmed with his podcast that Gina Carano is right, and that the things she disclosed about how Lucasfilm operates under Disney are all true. Still, this revelation doesn't explain why she was fired, other than because she was, in their eyes, problematic, because what she said rubbed people the wrong way, because the people on Twitter are just oversensitive, because these people, in the very moment that you just say hi to them, in the very moment that you do not cave in to their demands, in the very moment that you just say you disagree with them and that you have a different opinion or a different point of view, like the sore mother effers that they are, angry little people, bitter with their lives, sad that they don't have anyone to love, well, they come after you, of course. And they yell at you, and they shout at you that you are just the worst person imaginable, and they call you Yahtzee, and Ist, and Thove, and lots of other idiotic things that we all know do not even make any sense at all. This, my dear viewer, my beloved fellow traveler in the seas of pop culture, this is the answer to the question, what makes Gina Carano problematic? Well, it's only this. The Twitter mob gets angry at her. That very same mob that Kathleen Kennedy wants to be the new Star Wars fandom, and actually thinks is the fandom the franchise really has. She, Gina Carano, was viewed as dangerous because those people were ranting and raving after having their hypersensitive vaginas rubbed by sand that they wanted her out. And because of that, Lucasfilm not only didn't side with her as they did with Christina Ariel, against bullying, they also fired her. Now she is out. And the fans, real Star Wars fans that is, people who do not harass the actors or berate them because they don't live these weirdest fantasies in real life, don't want to have anything to do with Star Wars or Lucasfilm for that matter. They stand side by side with Carano and are even cancelling their Disney Plus subscription. Why do this thing then? Well, according to the good guys from Midnight's Edge, shout out to them by the way, because the Kennedy front wants to get rid of Favreau's camp and lay the blame of all that goes wrong with Star Wars on him and his poor casting decisions, as well as troublesome working environment on set with these problematic cast members. I think that's taking things too far, personally speaking. I mean, were that true, wouldn't that also mean that Kennedy would be going down? After all, it was she who got Favreau and Filoni together to work on a new project. And if The Mandalorian is doing well, that means that Lucasfilm is okay too, right? Kennedy's job is saved. She continues fighting another day. She gets to renew her contract. Are these people really so deranged that they think their agenda and politics are much more important than their jobs? Or does this mean that Kennedy is just one step further out the door and wants to take as many down as she can take with her when she gets booted out? Only time will tell. But one thing is for sure. Burr said how someone can post something ignorant on Twitter and that means the end of their career. And he wondered, quote, who the F stands up to that? And that's the big problem. Standing up to crap like that. We are better than this. And if you think so as well, then join us in cancelling Disney Plus, not supporting Lucasfilm in their new projects, and send the message loud and clear. We do not stand up for bullying, and we do not stand up for cancel culture.